Hello, I'm Sarah Bramall. I'm a coach and I work with women on vision and purpose, so where you are, where you want to be, on confidence and imposter syndrome, and on balance and resilience. And I'm going to speak to you today about boundaries, about how to create clear boundaries, because boundaries are something that are really challenging for us to put in place. Because two things that drive our behaviour often are pleasing other people and by being perfect. Because often, as young girls, and this does tend to apply to girls more than boys, we were taught that to gain approval from adults, we had to please other people or we had to be perfect. And often we still carry those expectations, those drivers, we still carry them with us, and they still often inform our behaviour. Additionally, culturally, there's a stereotype that a successful woman looks like somebody who has the ability to multitask. So I always think about Sarah Jessica Parker in I Don't Know How She Does It, kind of juggling all of those balls, and that we still have that concept that that's what success looks like, whereas actually, of course, it's not, because we just feel completely overwhelmed and like we're just not doing anything well enough. So, and we also know that multitasking is actually really detrimental to productivity. So setting boundaries is really important, both for us, for our well-being, but also for the people around us in terms of delivering on the responsibilities that we have. Now, work-life balance is particularly challenging at the moment, obviously, because so many of us are working from home, and there comes a whole set of challenges associated with that. And so many of us as well have children at home, so we're homeschooling and trying to work at the same time. And the evidence seems to suggest that women have been more greatly impacted by the lockdown than men. So what can we do then to create effective boundaries? I'm going to share 6 tips with you. So number 1 is to make sure you know your priorities in terms of your projects and in terms of your people. So we are coming to the end of the first half of 2020, going into the third quarter of the year. So now is a really great time to look ahead the next 3 months or the next 6 months and think, okay, taking myself to either the end of September or the end of December. Where do I want to be? What is going to get me there? What's important right now? And make sure you're really clear on those goals, because when you're really clear on your goals, when you're really clear on your priorities, when somebody asks you to do something in addition to that or outside of that, it's much easier to assess whether or not you're going to do it, because does it align with your goals? And we can be flexible to a degree, but when we know what's important to us, when we know our priorities in terms of our projects, it's easier to put those boundaries in place. Secondly, in terms of people, look at all the people in your life, all of the people who make demands on your time, and make a decision about actually who is really important to you and where are you going to put your energy. Again, it doesn't mean to say that you can't be flexible and you can't allow new people into your life, but it helps you by writing that down to look at all of the people and thinking, okay, who really needs my time, who really needs my energy, who really energizes me and supports me. Let me give my time and my energy to those people. The second, in terms of setting boundaries, is to put your self-care first, because so often we put our self-care at the very bottom of the pile. So we think, well, that's something that might be nice to have if I've got time. And inevitably, when we don't make it a priority, when we don't schedule it, it doesn't happen. And then the impact of that is that we are more stressed, we have less energy, and actually our productivity all round fails. So put your self-care first. Decide what is important for you in terms of self-care. Is it getting enough sleep? Is it your relationships? Is it exercise? Is it getting outside on a daily basis? What really makes a difference to your energy? And put that into your diary. So put that time into your diary. And even if it's not huge, even if it's 10 minutes a day. Now for me, I do my self-care first thing in the morning. So I do my meditation, my exercise first thing in the morning, because then nothing else gets in the way of that. Because if I didn't do it first thing in the morning, other stuff would get in the way. It wouldn't happen. So to make that a priority, I get up early and do that. Okay, number 3 is about saying no. Now, no is a word that doesn't come easily. So sometimes when we feel that we want to say no, to communicate those boundaries, we tend to kind of add on a whole explanational story following that. Whereas sometimes no is enough. Like, no is a complete sentence in itself. So don't be afraid to say no. And you can start practicing saying no with maybe just small things. Like, no. Just practice saying no. Another thing you can do is you can figure out, how can I say no that makes me feel comfortable? So thank you so much for thinking of me, but this project isn't in alignment with my priorities at the moment, or actually I haven't got any more capacity to do pro bono work at the moment, whatever it might be. Okay, so wherever that might be. But linked to that, this is tip number 4, be kind to your future self. Because, and I speak from experience here, because I don't like to say no, but I kind of know I need to say no. I tend to sometimes say, well, I'm sorry, I can't do that now, but ask me again in a few weeks and I'm sure I'll manage to fit it in. But often, if we know that the correct answer, or the answer that feels right now is no, it's not going to look any better a few weeks down the line. So be kind to your future self. Don't kind of pile stuff up for the future just because you've got yourself out of that spot in the moment. Think about, okay, how is this actually going to look in 6 weeks' time and 8 weeks' time? And is it something I really want to say yes to? Because if it's something I really want to say yes to, you'll probably say yes immediately. So don't always push it into the future. Number 5 is about owning your time, scheduling your time, so that you know what the structure of your day looks like. And yes, again, there may need to be flexibility built into there because we have to work with other people's agendas. But if you start out by scheduling your time, your priorities, and you have a sense that you own your time, you choose how you spend it, and that is one of my affirmations, I own my time, I choose how I spend it, then it gives you a lot more power over your time, because time is our most precious resource. And it's easy to think about time as being an infinite resource, but actually we know when we overload ourselves with too much, we run out of time, and that leads us to a place of stress, frustration, the feeling of not doing anything properly. And then finally, focus on what really matters and what you need to do. So there's a brilliant writer called Laura Vanderkam who wrote a book called I Know How She Does It, and she is a mother of 3, so I really resonate with her, and she talks a lot about women and productivity. Highly recommend her books. But one of the things that she talks about is defining what your roles are, and this is something that I did. So what do I really need to do? Okay, so first of all, as I said with self-care, I need to nurture myself, because otherwise nothing else really works. Secondly, I need to nurture my family. And okay, with family, that might include close friendships, but nurture my family, so my husband, my children, my extended family, those relationships. And that's again looking at who's really important. And then nurture my business. And then, what are all the roles and responsibilities that come with that? They're the 3 things that I need to show up and do. And to be honest, that is more than enough. So anything that falls outside of that, think, okay, what can I ditch? So what do I not need to do? And what can I delegate? So what can I ditch? What can I delegate? So do, ditch, delegate. What do I need to do and what's important to me to do that nobody else can do, or, that I choose to do it because it brings me joy? What can I ditch? So what doesn't actually need to happen, and what can I delegate? So there are 6 tips there. So knowing your priorities, your projects and your people. Secondly, putting your self-care first. Thirdly, saying no. So no is a complete sentence, or finding a way of saying no, practicing saying no in a way that makes you feel comfortable. Fourthly, being kind to your future self, thinking, okay, I might have solved this problem now, but it's going to still be a problem in the future. So be kind to your future self, don't put yourself in that position. 5, own your time. So schedule your time, plan your time, own it like it's your most precious resource. And finally, focus on what matters. where does your energy and attention need to be, and what can happen? How can you ditch or delegate the rest?